Let's focus on the rear axle now. And with the rear axle, it's much the same procedure as we did with the front axle, except it's a bit more simple because there's no steering assembly. So let's take our main shaft again with our plastic bearings. So this is, again, we're doing this completely standard, and we'll upgrade at a later date. So I think we do need to, before we put this inside the two halves of the axle case, I think we need to give this a little bit of grease so that it's at least lubricated. So let me grease that and come back to you. There you can see I've greased that already. So now we've got to get this ready to go into the axle casing. So again, the only thing that's going to be different with this one is that rather than the output shaft facing inwards towards the car like the front one, the output shaft for this one is going to be facing this way into the car so that it meets the drive shafts. So again, just popping these bearings, just moving them and separating them, one towards the front there, one towards the back there, like that. We're going to line these up so as best we can so that they're lined up. Okay, so now that's lined up, we're going to get the other half of our axle case, and we're going to need to pop the two together like we did before. Okay, now that's lined up. Okay, lovely. We can pop on the front and rear of the cases. So you've got the output shaft here, which needs to come inwards, and again, this only goes in one way. A little bit of grease in here though, so that it's got some grease in there. Then we're going to attach this to our axle case housing, and again line this up so that the holes line up. I believe it'd be something along those lines of like that. And a quick check to make sure that it spins the axles, which it does. Okay, so that's now lined up. Same again for the rear axle case and the cover. There you go. So again, making sure that the holes line up and go all the way through, because we've got to get those through. There we are. So it's like that. Still looks good to me. Then we need to take the screws again, which I believe these were the number 3 screws. These are the ones that are 14 millimeters long. You'll see them in the pack. They're the only ones that are this size, and they go through and they tighten up. Okay, and we just do 4 of those. So just nip these up in a cross fashion. So they're nipped, there we are, nipped, and just make sure that this still spins, which it does, no problem at all. And then what we need to do is, now that we've got this which comes into us, we need to pop the truss. This is the actual truss, and it needs to go this time round, this way round, so that this is inwards. Okay, and using the I think this is the number 5 screws, which these are the ones that are the 10 millimeter long. We need to screw the axle truss housing onto the axle, and again it literally goes through and it collects both halves of the axles. So that's why you use the longer screws. So there we go. So just grab some threads on that one, and then I'll screw this tight. And once you've got these nipped up, you just need to nip these up, make sure they're tight in a cross fashion, quarter turn each one. There we are. There you go, a quarter turn in each one, like so. And then hopefully you should have an axle like this that turns, and you've got one axle output that way, one axle output this way, and you'll notice that they're slightly offset. Okay, that's the idea, because you've got the front one and the rear one. Okay, so that's the 2 axles completed.